The most critical AI investment an energy company can make right now isn't another analytics platform or enterprise software suite. It's building an internal AI system trained on the proprietary operational knowledge your organization has spent decades accumulating before that knowledge retires with the people who hold it. The oil and gas industry faces a knowledge retention crisis that most organizations aren't moving fast enough to solve. An entire generation of engineers, operators, and technical specialists, people who carry decades of field experience, site-specific protocols, and hard-won problem-solving expertise, is approaching retirement. That knowledge isn't in your manuals, it's not in your databases, it lives in people. Expert AIOS creates an internal AI system trained on your organization's proprietary data, technical documentation, operational procedures, and institutional expertise, and makes all of it accessible to every employee through an interface they can query in real time from any device on any site. Every year this isn't built, your organization loses irreplaceable knowledge to retirement, turnover, and time. Junior engineers make decisions without access to the context of a 30-year veteran would have provided in minutes. Onboarding takes longer, errors cost more, and the gap between what your organization knows and what can actually access widens. The companies that build this infrastructure now will operate with a level of institutional knowledge continuity that becomes an unmatchable competitive advantage. The ones that wait will spend the next decade trying to recover what they let walk out the door. This is a big issue that some of my prospective clients have faced, where they know that it's imperative to retain the knowledge that some of their veterans have. It's very obvious that their most senior people have the most critical knowledge, and the time to be able to disseminate and democratize that knowledge has actually never been easier given the advancements of AI and the large language models that can be trained. We're in a unique space. What I've seen as I've gone and talked with, again, clients and prospective clients is years, decades of institutional knowledge is sort of locked away, either in siloed databases or shared drives that no one goes to, or it's really difficult to access. No one really understands the full context of things. Everything's disparate and disorganized. That most valuable information is in the brains and the minds of their most, the highest paid employees at this point. And the threat really is time that's ticking before that individual either leaves the organization, gets hired out by somebody else. And with that will be decades of valuable institutional knowledge that just gets wiped away. We have hit a crossroads where all of that information can be trained. Custom LLM, a large language model, we build it actually as infrastructure. This isn't like going to ChatGPT and uploading some documents there, or even Claude or any of these other tools. That's great. And yes, the essence of those is what we're building, but think of it on a much larger scale for an enterprise. The issue is that when you do it in these Claudes or ChatGPT, it's meant for an individual. Even if you have the enterprise edition where you can share within the organization, you're still going to be limited in terms of the functionality and the user interface, in terms of all of the effort that actually goes into creating an experience of how your users, and in this case, when we're talking about the energy industry, when we're talking about oil and gas, there's a specific way in which those people who need that information are going to want to access it. There are nuances that perhaps some folks are very familiar with the traditional interfaces of ChatGPT and Claude, but perhaps internally they might need that information to be secure. It might need to be behind authentication, or it might need to show up in the organization's intranet or other existing UIs. The difference between Claude and these other generic AI tools is that Expert AIOS can actually be built within that network. It can be built within the framework of the existing infrastructure. You don't need another password. People don't have to go out and request things from an organization who they need support from. This is all internal. It's owned by you. It's an asset. This investment isn't an expenditure. It's a capital investment that actually increases the value of a business, of a company. Eventually, the AI and the custom trained LLM is your proprietary information. It's a piece of technology that you've built and that you've invested in to increase the value of your company, to ensure that your employees are getting trained at a higher rate or a more efficient way, and that the technical knowledge that these senior position people hold, that when they leave, it doesn't go away, and that sets you back. One of the reasons that makes these custom LLMs perfect for the energy industry, and again, specifically oil and gas, is that a lot of times the tools or the processes, the physical infrastructure is operating these large facilities doesn't change often. I'm sure there might be a component that gets switched out, but overall, the process remains relatively the same for years, if not decades. So the point there is that that's a perfect opportunity to train the LLM once, and then you have that information going forward in the future. And then that's something that can be iterated on. Given that this is your infrastructure, that can be optimized, it can be updated as we see fit. Anytime there are changes, that will be reflected in the responses. So it's a really unique way to build this custom trained LLM as infrastructure into your organization that benefits the entire company, but also supports the employees to learn quicker, onboard quicker, and really get access to that information in critical moments when there could be an outage or the threat of an outage or some other catastrophic event that might be looming. The most important aspect in these situations is getting that information in the time that's needed and getting the answers so that way the right action can be taken. As part of this process, when we train the LLMs, that's going to be one of the elements, is actually synthesizing all of this information, ensuring that the information that we feed it is the right information. So there's a lot of quality assurance that goes into this, ensuring that when the responses that are getting asked, that they're coming out, that these are the right answers. And that's the other benefit, that we're able to ensure that the accuracy is of the highest degree. I've had many clients in other industries where it's very imperative, whether it's someone's health, whether, like, literally I've had clients that these LLMs are being used at the bedside for as a standard of care. Doctors, physicians are getting answers to their questions in that moment to be able to support a patient. Other clients will use these custom trained LLMs to help them in their healing journey. So in this particular case, it was a client who had deep esoteric knowledge on DNA and genetic profiles. And so when people would get their genetic profile, and they would have this PDF, they would be able to upload that, and the LLM would interpret that. And then based on the framework that was established by this company and by this person as like the knowledge source, it would interpret that person's genetic profile and give very relevant, specific, and accurate information that they were able to then execute and take the next step. So the beauty of what we're able to do here is the responses are accurate. The infrastructure is an investment that the company is making, not just an expenditure. Once you're done paying a service fee, all of that information will be lost. All of this is stored within a database that is owned by you, also built on infrastructure that is the best in class. In fact, the same infrastructure that Claude or Anthropic and ChatGPT is the same infrastructure that we use to build your proprietary LLM.